Have you ever wondered what true freedom is? It's not the freedom of attacks, not the freedom of movement, and not the freedom to do whatever you want. It's the freedom of the soul. What is the freedom of the soul? Of course, it's hard to understand what the freedom of the soul is at first, but somehow subconsciously we all understand that true freedom is the freedom to think, believe, and do what you truly want. But how do you understand that? Well, let's consider an example. Each of us was born. In a way, we are free, but after birth, various stereotypes, opinions, and beliefs start being imposed on us. This begins in the family, where rules of behavior are imposed, as well as in school. And in the society where he is. That is, he does not choose what he should believe in. He does not choose how he should live, how he should build his life, what priorities to choose. He cannot do this. All of this is imposed on him in the environment where he was born. Work here and there, or why should I? Believe in what, for example, was imposed on me. I did not have the right to choose, so it turns out that true freedom is the freedom of choice. It is precisely this freedom that we are deprived of from birth. We are already born, so to speak, in slavery, but an invisible slavery. So true freedom can actually only be understood by someone who has been in slavery. And the most terrible thing is when a person, while being in slavery, considers themselves free. What should a person do when they finally hear that quiet voice in their soul? Why do I do this? Why do I act this way? Why do I believe like this? And in this case, many tend to stop after this question arises. Why? Because they are now afraid to do anything further. That is, after a person starts to doubt whether they are truly free, they immediately feel fear, and their search stops there. But let's recall the parable about the elephant, which is tied with a small rope to a fence or a tree. It doesn't matter. Well, the rope is thin and he can easily break free, but why doesn't he? Because since childhood he was tied up, and every time he tried to break away from the rope, it hurt. And so, when he grew up, they lead him on the same thin rope, and he is afraid to take any steps because he remembers that it hurts. But if he only tried, he would tear down the fence and break the rope, but he doesn't even try. That's how many people are. They understand that they are in some kind of slavery. No, not physical slavery, but rather spiritual slavery. They are afraid to take a step, to check, to conduct some kind of investigation, to answer these questions for themselves. For example, who am I? Why do I live this way? And what do I need to do to sort of be truly free? In other words, the right to choose. And if you are also such a person who wishes to be free, then subscribe to my channel. We will continue to search for paths to liberation together. And I am sure that everything we will discuss together will only be for your benefit.